Hey yo! Hey everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video review, and today we're going to be doing part 3 to our Superman Doomsday series. It's about time. And that would be the Return of Superman. Take a look at that cover. Now, if you do not like spoilers, then you're better off just going at the end of this review, because it's really hard for me to actually review this without putting spoilers in there, so be prepared. Now, when we last left off in a world without Superman, Superman's body is missing. And 4 individuals show up looking like Superman. The first one would be right here, and he calls himself the Man of Tomorrow. And he shows up, and he has the memories of Clark Kent. And he looks a lot like Clark Kent, but his powers are completely different. So he represents Clark Kent's memories, or Superman's memories. Next would be actually this is in no particular order, but next is Cyborg Superman. And Cyborg Superman shows up, and he has no memories whatsoever. He looks a lot like Superman, except for, the cybernetics. But he represents Superman's, how should I say, feelings and personality. He really has the personality of Clark Kent and Superman, where the Man of Tomorrow didn't. He was very cold, but he did have Superman's memories. Right away, Cyborg Superman grabs the body of Doomsday, puts on an asteroid, and flings it off into space, or into the sun, I forget. I think it was into space. Next to show up would be Superboy. And Superboy outright says that he's not Superman, but he says he's a genetic clone of Superman. So he kind of represents Superman genetically. Lois Lane thinks that this might be Superman reborn or something like this. But he claims to be the new Superman. And the last would be the Man of Steel. He outright says that he's not Superman also. He just says he's there to represent Superman and to honor the Superman shield. And he represents Superman's moral values, because out of all of them, he's probably the most ethically sound. Now, the first half of this graphic novel deals a lot with the book trying to convince the reader that each of these Supermans is the real Superman, which obviously they're not. None of them are the real Superman, but the graphic novel tries really, really hard to convince you of that. So with that said, I might as well give you the backgrounds of each Superman. The Man of Steel, which eventually becomes just Steel, his real name is John Irons. He was a weapons tester who then turned into a mill worker that was saved by Superman. And then he was caught up in the debris during the Doomsday fight. So during that, he eventually came out and he decided to take up the mantle of Superman. The clone of Superman, Superboy, is exactly what he is, a clone of Superman. That's about it. He can be quite annoying in the very beginning. Next would be Cyborg Superman. And Cyborg Superman origin story really ties into the conflict in this. Mongrel shows up and destroys Coast City, which is Green Lantern's hometown. And he destroys it. And before he destroys it, the Man of Tomorrow, this dude, and Cyborg Superman go to investigate. And Cyborg Superman suddenly just blows the head off the Man of Tomorrow and is revealed to be Mongrel's master. Cyborg Superman was originally an astronaut whose life and family was destroyed, and his memories and conscience was uploaded into a computer. And he blames Superman for everything, so he takes on his image and he decides to destroy the world. Basic bad guy stuff. And the Man of Tomorrow's story really ties into the actual resurrection of Superman. His real name is the Eradicator, and he fought Superman before, and his body or his conscience went into the dead body of Superman and kind of possessed it. And he kind of got tangled up, and he started to believe he was actually Superman. So he went to the Fortress of Solitude and went into the Regeneration Chamber. And there, in the Regeneration Chamber, separated the two beings, the original Superman body and Eradicator with a body and memories that resembled the original Superman. And Eradicator went off and started believing he was the Man of Tomorrow, where the original Superman body, well, was revived and Superman was brought back to life. Powerless, but brought back to life. So the original Superman shows up, and with the help of Steel and Superboy, they go to stop Cyborg Superman. Because right now, there's no one out there that can really stop Cyborg Superman. All the big heavy hitters of superheroes are off in space or occupied. Captain Marvel, Guy Gardner, Wonder Woman, they're all off in, Alan Scott, they're all off doing their little space mission. And at this point, Batman's back is broken. So those three go to investigate, and eventually the Eradicator shows up to help. And in addition to that, Hal Jordan shows up and starts beating the living snot out of Mongrel. So Green Lantern does show up to help out. So there's a big conflict, and as you can assume, at the end, the real Superman comes forward, and all happy, everything goes back together. I forgot to mention Matrix Supergirl was in the big fight too, but it has this big happy ending. So on to the good and bad and whether or not you should get it. Good. Actually, I'm going to combine the good and the bad together. This can be divided up into two really sections. The first section is dealing with them convincing you who Superman is, and the other section is dealing with actually taking on Mongrel and Cyborg Superman. The first section was a snooze fest. I really did fall asleep during it, and there were at points where I legitimately had to put the book down. I fell asleep. But the second part was actually fun and very good. When the real Superman showed up, that's when things started to roll. I just feel as though the first part tried too hard to convince you all of them were Superman, where any general reader will be like, we know that's not Superman. Because Superman's not a boy, Superman's not a robot, Superman's not black. The only legitimate one that you could probably think of is Eradicator. He doesn't even have Superman's legitimate powers. So when it comes down to it, they tried too hard and it was just so boring. The second part was actually really fun. So, yeah. Whether or not you should get it. Well, if you committed yourself to the Doomsday Saga so far, then you're going to have to get it. But besides that, I suggest avoiding it. The Return of Superman, I mean, it had its good sections towards the end, and it had its few moments, but on a whole, I felt as though it was just boring. I know. I'm sorry, it was. It was just boring. I legitimately fell asleep. So with that said, use your discretion, but I say avoid it. Return of Superman. This is Andrew saying peace out for now.